Today we're looking at a little Spyderco. This one a lot of people are familiar with. This is a Spyderco Panchenko dog tag slip joint folder. That's the, I believe, the official name for this knife. It says it all. This one is designed by Serge Panchenko, and it's mimicking one of his custom knives. It's obviously just a Spyderco version of it. Very interesting. Slip joint dog tag size knife. I mean, not much else needs to be said about it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's very small, very lightweight. This thing only weighs 0.8 ounces. It's got a 1.2 inch blade on it. This is CPM S30V, as well as a titanium frame, and other parts are Thai. These happen to just be colored, which, you know, even though it's a small knife, they didn't cheap out on materials or anything. This is very high quality stuff. Very nice. This is the colored version, which has a green back scale, I guess we call it. It is anodized titanium, and then it has blue accents, so blue spacer, even though there's no top scale, and a little pivot collar, I guess you can call that. But yeah, pretty cool. This one sells for about $70. They have an all black version that's not, it's still titanium, but it's just black instead. And they start at $45. There's also a carbon fiber G10 all black combo version, which is like another 10 bucks. So it's like 55 or 60. And that was basically, instead of having titanium here, it has G10 with like a carbon fiber laminate on top of it. What's interesting to me though, is the only difference between the two as far as weight, because I would assume the G10 would be a lot lighter than the titanium, but it's not. It's like 0.02 ounces different or something. It's doesn't make a difference, but it's a different look because you have the carbon fiber on the back. So 3 versions of this knife, and then they actually came out with a Gen 4. There's probably other ones I'm missing, but the Gen 4 version sports a CTS BD1 steel for the blade as opposed to the CPM S30V, and also has a different blade profile. It's more like square. So it's pretty interesting. Bunch of different versions of this. If you like the idea, there's a lot to choose from. This one actually got in a trade. This one is pretty used, pretty beat up. Maybe put on a set of keys or something. I've had this one for a while now. This one I just got again. Totally different person, different trade, and they threw it in, which is very cool. So I have 2 of them, but this is the one I did use, so I'm putting this one off to the side. When I first got this, my initial plans for it was to wear it as a neck knife. You know, it's got a little lanyard hole on the bottom. I figured I'd put a ball and chain through there or something and just carry it around the neck for a little bit just to see what that would be like, because obviously dog tags are carried around the neck all the time. It would have been the lightest neck knife I've ever carried, but I never got around to doing it. I ended up just putting this in my pocket a couple times, in addition to testing other, you know, folding knives. I just had it floating around the pocket, especially because this one was already kind of beat up and scratched up. I didn't mind it floating around, you know, with loose other tools like flashlights, or if I carried a zipper or something. It was no big deal for them to be banging into each other in the pocket. Did use it a few times here and there just to get an idea what it'd be like. I like it. I mean, the S30V performs very well. This one came kind of dull, but I sharpened it back up. One thing I will tell you though right off the bat is, because this sticks out, the frame for where the edge is, it makes it a little bit further. With a natural grip like this, it makes it a little further, the cutting edge from what you're cutting, so your hands tend to get in the way a little bit. Just as a quick note, the Gen 4 version, although they did change the blade a little bit, the actual cutting edge is much closer to the edge of the handle, if that makes sense. So if you make a, you know, imaginary straight line at the edge of your handle here, usually on most knives, the blade's edge is pretty much in line with that, okay, or at least close to it. When you have different knife designs where the handle sticks out and the blade is back here, that makes it more difficult to cut things in this position, especially with such a small knife. And if I didn't mention it, 1.2 inches on that blade. The whole thing is 2 inches long. So when using this knife, instead of using like a natural grip like this, again, because that blade's so small, I ended up just using a pinch grip in the Spidey hole. All right, so naturally, when you're opening this, you're opening it with your thumb, using the spider hole, right? And then I would just take my pointer finger and put it like this, just like a little pinch grip, and then kind of tuck the handle back in the hand. And this gave me a lot of control towards the tip. Very easy, very simple. You know, what would you use a small knife like this for? Well, opening boxes of other knives, of course. I mean, you know, opening mail and packages, obviously, it's totally fine for that kind of stuff. You're not going to use it for any hard use cutting deals, but I wouldn't expect anyone to get something like this thinking that it's going to be a hard use knife. Specifically because there is no locking mechanism. You can see that there's a piece of the titanium that's cut out that is bent, so it lifts up, and there's a little ball bearing on it. All right, so that falls into a little hole in the blade. So when it's open, kind of pops in place. You know, it keeps it from moving easily, but obviously you don't need much pressure to overcome, you know, that. It pushes the bar out of the way, and then of course you can close it. So it is easy to manipulate, you know, open and closed. I find the easiest way to close this is to just push the blade off a little bit, you know, in a normal position like this, because you have control, and then move your fingers out of the way so you can bring it in. All right. There's a couple different ways you could do that, but that just seems to be the easiest for me. It's what I naturally have done. Just kind of tilted it and then closed it. So it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, I mean, eventually I wanted to try this as a neck knife. The other thing I kind of thought of, but haven't tried yet, is to have this on the keys. Because there's the little lanyard hole here, you can probably throw a small split ring on there and put it on the keys. My only concern is how strong the detent is in the closed position, because obviously in moving your keys around and getting banged around, you don't want this to open. I kind of feel like that could happen. Maybe I'll test it out in the future. If you have this knife and you do carry it on the keys, let me know if it's ever, you know, opened or been a problem for you. I don't think it would be an issue. Obviously, being on the keys, it will get banged up and scratched up a lot easier. Even though this is anodized, you can see over here where the blade had rubbed with use, just kind of wore that finish off a little bit. All right, then obviously in the back, whatever this happened to be rubbing against, just scratched the heck out of it. But yeah, I mean, it's durable. It's just that the green and blue look here, especially if you had the black one, maybe it's slightly less noticeable on this. But if you had the all black version, the titanium one anyway, it would definitely, you know, show a lot more wear if you were to, you know, carry in the keys or something like that. So overall, I really like this knife. I think it's very cool. It's a fun little design, although it does have natural limitations being small and being a slip joint. I think it's priced right, you know, anywhere from $45 to $70 depending on the version. You know, a lot more people can get into it. I love the blade itself. I wish they took this exact blade and made the appropriate handle and made a tiny little like frame lock or something out of it. I think that would be awesome. I love the groove in here. It's just really cool. So yeah, that'd be awesome if they came out with something like that. But yeah, as a dog tag style knife, I think it's nice. Very cool. So if you guys have these, let me know down in the comment section what you think of yours, and again, how you carry it. For me, it was always just loose in the pocket. Obviously, there's no pocket clip option here or anything, but perhaps in the future, I will throw it on the keys just to see how that works out or doesn't work out. We'll see. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.